Almost 10 years old, Betaworks is one of the longest running and most successful startup studios in the world, with companies like Digg, Bitly, Instapaper, Giphy, and Dots under its umbrella. We sat down with a number of people at Betaworks, from founders of the Betaworks-backed companies to the head honcho himself, John Borthwick.
It started when I registered the domain, which, I think was 1999 or 2000. The idea is, can you build a studio-like structure on top of internet startup creation, the same way that in the gaming business you have gaming studios, in the movie business you have movie studios. Can you build an umbrella on top that creates internet companies?
And for a long time you had a hard time defining exactly what Betaworks was.
In the early years, I was like, you know what, we've just got to build awesome things. Because why bother talking about what Betaworks is or what the studio is if the sort of quote unquote, products, the companies aren't great. To me, that was just a lot of noise in the system.
So we don't have people applying to Betaworks with their own ideas. We work with them to build new products. So that's the studio side. The other thing we do, which is independent but highly related, is make Seedstage Investments.
Sometimes we hire them, sometimes we end up investing in them, sometimes they just end up being kind of part of the Betaworks family.
Because we're not tech stars, we're not Y Combinator, we're not in the class business. We're in the business of building companies.
The two biggest benefits are the incredible flow of brilliant ideas and brilliant entrepreneurs that are constantly coming through the office. So like I have first bite at the apple, first interaction with, and kind of conversations with, so I feel like it really keeps us on the cutting edge of what's interesting and new and evolving.
The Betaworks Thesis hedges on building companies in a network, including the seed investments, the studio companies, and the graduated companies. There's knowledge and insights that are gained from all of the different parts.
Having John Borthwick's expertise is always really helpful, so just having someone who has been in this industry for so long and who loves building early stage stuff and who understands how to do it and has seen so much in so many different verticals.
We couldn't have built Dots outside of Betaworks in the way that we did. Once we got it started, then I think all of the sort of natural benefits of being in this environment came to fruition. Things like talent, we were able to recruit very fast.
Beyond just the offer, the willingness to just roll up their sleeves and get in the trenches with us to tackle the problems or the challenges that every young startup faces.
Obviously, like the financial support that Betaworks provides is huge for early stage companies. I think that's one of the draws of Hackers in Residence is people get to come build a company but kind of have a little bit of that safety net.
We have all the kind of financial and legal support that we need, so we can actually focus on being creative. Whereas I think otherwise I'd have to really be figuring out, I don't know, payroll stuff or DMCA stuff. The Betaworks is actually very good at keeping that stuff out of your way so you can be creative and make something great.
We build things that we really love and care about, and sometimes they're not sustainable businesses. But here, just because it's not a sustainable business doesn't mean that people aren't going to tell you, like, oh, how do you spin this into something that's bigger, something that is a sustainable business, whereas you might spin your wheels a lot longer in the outside world. So it's about shortening that span of time where you're struggling and finding the solution faster.
Who do you use as a sounding board though, right? If you're at the top of the umbrella, who are you reaching out to and kind of getting their feedback?
I love getting input from a lot of different places. It's one of the reasons why we're here in New York. It's one of the reasons why I'm in New York. Because I think that in this city, there is an incredible diversity of stimuli and inputs, and I thrive from that. And I find, in my life, I've lived in places that have had much narrower inputs, could be much more homogeneous in their thinking, and I find that very sort of constraining. And I think that doing that here in New York is much, much easier than doing that on the West Coast. Tech in this town is one of 5 big businesses now. It is not the business. It's not the center. And I think that I like the scrappiness, I like the outsider sort of status of our industry.
Every Betaworks property is so strong in their brand. Like Giphy is so different from a Poncho, is so different from an Instapaper brand, right? Across the whole board. And then in and of itself, how do you keep the Betaworks brand, that umbrella brand, strong? I know you guys went through like a rebranding of sorts, new logo.
It was time to do an update of the brand. I had done the original branding with Neil, like sitting there futzing around with Photoshop with him, so I thought that maybe some people who were really good at that could help out and do it better. To my insistence, the brand that we've got now is still derivative of the original brand.
How do you feel when you see all of these new startup studios kind of launching? We've got Expa, Human Ventures, a number of kids kind of following along. What have you learned, and what kind of example can you set for them, or advice can you give those startup studios as they try to kind of copy or imitate what Betaworks has done for the last 10 years?
Doing what we do here is hard. So you've got to be highly committed to this as a model. I think that some people have used the studio model in order to throw a lot of things against the wall and find one thing and then pursue that one thing. And so I'm always trying to push people down organizationally. Second thing is I'm trying to always figure out more how we can sort of make the process here more effective. And at the end of the day, the process here, it's not a production line, right? It's a somewhat curated, handcrafted experience.